All right. So what are the risks associated with paid links? Yeah, disclaimer, if Google finds out you're paying for links, they're going to give you a spanking, right? You're going to get in trouble. You're probably going to get some kind of penalty. So the risk associated with paid links is that you could technically lose your rankings. The bright side is that if you're following industry best practices, the kind of stuff that we're teaching day in, day out, it's really not hard to avoid this risk. I mean, the risk is always there. We can't say the risk is never there, but when's the last time that you got a site penalized?
I haven't ever, unless I did it on purpose with a test site, and even then, I
Yeah.
haven't done it in a long time.
Yeah, I've never got a site penalized. I've helped people work on sites that were already in a rough spot,
Yeah.
or, we basically walked into something where it was pretty iffy or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's really not hard to avoid the risk associated with paid links at all. And yeah, like we were saying, it basically comes down to user error in the mostly, like if you're using if your anchors are over optimized, or if you are I don't know, sending a ton of spammy links to an inner page or something with strange anchors. Yeah, so
Yeah.
user error. What else?
Diversity. I mean, like the same thing we
Yeah,
always
so that's
talk, like diversity of links,
that would be user error as
anchors,
well.
etc. Yeah, all user error. Now, mind you, it's important to remember, Google doesn't have a way of tracing whether you've paid for a specific link. It's not something they're looking at. We're talking about when they're looking for a way to penalize you, they're looking for footprints that would quantify, hey, this looks like somebody has been going to all these specific places and paying for links, because it's known that specific assets are used on Fiverr to, as sort of like content farms to sell a bunch of backlinks. So you'd want to minimize, those types of links. But overall, so long as you're diversifying things properly, it's not really something you have to worry about. And we say that in the, utmost confidence, because we've built several businesses, all on the premise of procuring and manipulating backlink profiles.
Yeah, and just to kind of like walk you through it a little bit, let's pretend that basically someone comes to any link vendor's website and they give that link vendor some money. Then the link vendor goes around and they pay someone else some money, and then the link gets placed on that website. Like, how exactly does Google ever know that that happens?
Right.
There's no way for Google to know that that happens unless A, the site is very publicly selling backlinks. They've got stuff on their website saying, "Hey, you come buy a link on our website,"
Mm-hmm.
or they're being spammed places like Fiverr, or the user is doing something that would trigger Google to become suspicious, right? And that would be, not having a diverse backlink profile, not having a diverse anchor profile, using too many money anchors, using anchors in a spammy way. Yeah, basically like all the things we teach for as far as, being safe, being diverse, all that stuff. If you're not doing that stuff, it can make Google think, okay, these guys are potentially buying links. This is not how a normal link profile looks and grows. Yeah, so the risks are there. But yeah, in the past years, I don't think I've never had a site penalized either.
Mm-hmm.
It's really not hard to not get a penalty. And we say that, but I mean, we see a lot of sites
Now, I mean,
that get hit.
yeah, granted, I mean, like I've lost a lot of, PBNs, but that would be for different reasons, right?
But have you ever had a site penalized?
Well, I wouldn't have those in Search Console, so I mean, I'm sure, they do have
Are you
penalties.
talking about like the PBN itself or like the site it was linking to?
No, the PBN itself,
Okay.
A
A little bit different.
Yeah, it's different. Now, granted, in having done that, I've also revived a ton of sites that had penalties, and it's
Yeah.
not as hard to do as some people might think it is.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're in here every week. Basically, at least one person shows us a site every week where we say you need to diversify
pretty
your
busted,
anchors and
yeah.
your links, and you can get out of it.
Mhm.
It's totally doable. Yeah, I mean, only in certain cases would it ever be like the hole is too deep. You might not even want to try to dig yourself out. You might just want to start over.
Yeah.
But with most people, with smaller sites with not a insane amount of budget and links, you can pretty much crawl out pretty easily. It just takes some time if you mess it up. Um, yeah, that's pretty much it for paid links. Let's go to the next part of his question. All right, do you think links could hurt traffic just by a large percentage having right for us or advertise with us pages? Another example is sites directly mentioning sponsored posts. So yeah, this is what we were just talking about in our in the previous question. So in general, um, what would you say, Nick, if someone was to, let's say the person, they have like 100 links already going to their website, and they went and they picked up, I don't know, maybe 2 or 5 of these kind of links from sites that say write for us or advertise for us or whatever.
Well, so I don't think it's an issue if you're getting, 4 or 5 posts and you've got a bunch of referring domains going to that asset. Now, when I read this question, I see large percentage having write for us pages or advertise with us pages. I'm going to go ahead and say that that could be a footprint that could be written in for Google bots to crawl and take note of. So if you've got 80% of your backlink profile coming from websites that have this, chances are you're not going to be the only person looking for this exploit, right? There's tons of people out there crawling all these sites using Scrapebox, etc., to find pages just like these that then they can, submit content to and or content to or pay for content on. And so you're going to find that over time, a lot of the backlinks that are sent out, outbound links that are sent out from these assets are going to overlap. And so all in all, I would say large percentage, no, stay away from that. But if you want to sprinkle in some of these here and there, then it's perfectly okay to do so.
Yeah, if you're following industry best practices, link diversity, anchor diversity, and you get a couple of these things, they're not going to hurt you. Your backlink profile is a lot more solid than that. Or else if people wanted to hurt you, they would just go get a couple of these free posts on these websites and send them to you, and then you'd get a penalty, right? It doesn't work like that. But also, first of all, if you're paying for guest posts from a provider and you're getting links on sites like this, I would not use that provider. Yeah. For example, I'm on our guest post page right here, and you can see, even our premium and our standard tier guest posts, the more expensive ones and the cheaper ones, no matter what it is, they don't have sponsor posts or write for us or anything like that on the website that says you can pay for links on this website, or write for free, right? We do not count those as, that's kind of our bare minimum for what makes a quality guest post. So are they going to hurt you? If you have a lot of them, very possible. If you have a couple, wouldn't worry about it. Would I pay money for them? No.
I mean, if you can get them for the price of what it costs to get cheap content here and there, then maybe go ahead. But, if you're paying prices that would illustrate you're supposed to be getting actual links that were procured using outreach based on specific criteria, like not having sponsored post pages, then absolutely not. Get away from them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just these are things. If a website has these things on their page, this is something that an algorithm or a bot could very clearly take into account. It's public. It's right out in the open. So yeah, my advice would just be to stay away from it. But it's not really the end of the world, and in some cases they might help you.
Yeah.
but it's just it's a higher risk. Like the previous question I was asking, what are the risks associated with link building? This increases the chances of those risks being realized. So I personally just stay away from it totally.
Anytime a question's got by a large percentage included in there, meaning, there's one specific type of thing, it means you're not diversifying. And if you find yourself in a predicament where, okay, now you've realized you want to get away from there, but there is no penalty, maybe you haven't even been slapped in the SERPs yet, go ahead and start diversifying now, right? Use different types of links, higher quality stuff, and then, just diversify out from that backlink profile.
Cool. Let's see what else. Move on to the next one. Hey, what's up, Yaniv?
What up?
Yep, got the sound sorted hopefully now. Don't know what's going on with the computer, but
if you guys missed it, today's episode is sponsored by Aloha Salsa Company.
Do you have like an affiliate deal with them?
I do not, but
you should.
It's my buddy. He gives me free salsa sometimes.
I wouldn't mind
cool.
advertising some salsa.
It's good.
So there's the salsa used by pro link builders.
Yeah, hey, that's good.
It's a long tail keyword.
Now, Fabio, if you're watching, send some salsa.
All right, let's see what's next. Let's go to the list. I think these are Noman's questions, so we can do his first. Got a feeling the first one might be a little bit like the other questions we just answered, but we can go ahead and take a look. So if it's publishing an article on such a blog, Lifeyetcom help in ranking keywords, they usually charge a certain amount for publishing an article and get a backlink. We'd like to understand if it's an effective exercise. So let's go ahead and take a look at this one. Lifeyet.com.
So basically what we're doing here is we're just quantifying whether a site is going to be worthwhile to acquire a backlink on.
Well, first of all, I pulled up the website, and like you said, Noman, you said that they usually charge a certain amount for publishing an article. Well, a lot of websites charge a certain amount for publishing an article. The difference is that this site tells you right here that they have this big Write for Us button right on the front page, which is what we were talking about before, as far as things we like to definitely avoid. Yeah, I mean, they're even talking about like guest posts in here on stuff. Talking about the links that you're going to get. Wow, they really want people to find them.
Yeah.
They actually like put in like all the footprints here so that people can find them. That's actually really funny. I don't think I've ever seen one this like that.
Yeah, automatically I'm going to say that I don't particularly love this site. However, it doesn't mean that it's not going to give you some benefit. A lot of it's going to depend on what your current backlink profile looks like. And then let's go ahead and take it further and throw it in Ahrefs.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and pretend that they did not have the Write for Us thing, right? Let's pretend that that thing isn't there. And so we're going to go ahead, pop them into Ahrefs.
Yeah, I knew this was going to be the case. We should have taken bets on it. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. So just a quick look at it, I would say to stay away from this site. You've got about 4,000 referring domains, and you've only got 200 keywords. That's insane. Like this number is very high, and this number is very low. A site that has this many referring domains should have a lot more keywords than this, and a lot more traffic than that. So I would say Google knows something is up with this site. Let's go ahead. Do you want to look at their links?
Yeah, and how many pages are indexed, because I know they've got a ton of articles.
Holy crap.
Yeah,
So yeah,
so
they have
6,000.
7,000 URLs indexed, 7,000 pages, and they only have about 200 keywords that are showing up in Google anywhere. This is like a huge
Red flag.
red flag. Like, do not.
Hey, go to the anchors real quick. I bet one of their top anchors is right for us. There it is.
Jesus.
So the entire purpose of this site
all this
is
right for
to get you to find them for terms related to Right for Us, and then pocket the money that they get from people wanting to be on the website. And so it looks nice, right? It's set up like a news site. It's got a lot of informative articles, but I'm willing to bet that if you go in and you read any of it, it's probably pretty low quality. I bet, and this is all pure speculation, right? But I bet if we go into it, there's probably not a whole lot of outbound authority links in any of these articles. It's just not going to operate like a natural site.
Maybe got some.
Got some?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this is, yeah, as far as this particular site goes, I mean, they failed the Ahrefs check hard. They failed the manual Right for Us check as well. This is a 100% do not get links from website.
Well, I'll tell you the only time I would get a link for this website is if it, is dirt cheap and I have an awesome backlink profile. Because then it's kind of whatever. Having yourself on this site, it'd be basically treating it like having a backlink on the inner page of a PBN. That's kind of how you should look at this website. And so it doesn't mean that it has zero value whatsoever, but if your backlink profile, so going back to the last question, is exclusively sites like this, you're going to feel it in the SERPs.
It's hard to analyze their backlink profile because, I mean, the site's about like everything.
Yeah.
So it's hard to, all this stuff could be kind of relevant or whatever. But yeah, as far as this one particularly goes, Nomen, would definitely stay away from it. And hopefully our little checks are something that you can do on your own to be able to see if you should get links on sites like that or not that you find. I guess it's kind of like the, I don't know, I guess the people selling these are probably on Fiverr or, probably spamming people on Facebook messages, or maybe even people that just don't know much about SEO stumble into them and say, hey, they only want $10 for this link or something, and I think it might be a good idea, but it's a trap. All right. Let's see. I think Nomen had one more. Don't know if we're going to have a good answer for you on this one, Nomen.
What do we get?
When implementing schema, is it mandatory to have the content on the page? For example, if one were to use the aggregate rating schema, is it necessary to have reviews on the page itself? Is it risky to have details in the schema markup that are not present on the actual web page?
It's like so.
We're not schema. We're not schema pros. We've been slacking on that kind of stuff.
I'm gonna go ahead and say, based on us saying that and admitting that it's probably not as big an issue as you would think. However, best practices with schema, just like anything else, are gonna resonate as like a foundational thing. So. I'm not the guy to ask about that, to be honest.
Yeah, Nomen, if I was just going to give you a quick answer, I would say as far as the rating thing goes, I don't think you need to have the reviews on the page itself. For example, let's say that, okay, Sir Links a lot. We have a, 5-star rating on Facebook or Google or whatever. And then, so we set our rating schema to 5, but, we're not going to have those ratings like embedded on every product page or whatever, but we could still use those ratings on those pages. I don't really know. I don't want to.
Maybe it'd be okay, right? Like it's like I'd whatever. Say we could look it up, right? But there's gonna be we don't have all the answers.
Yeah, we're our specialty, of course, is link building. we probably know link building better than pretty much anyone you can find. But when it gets to and on page, I feel like we're really good at on page too.
Yeah, I mean the basics, right? What you need to rank like a foundation.
But once you start getting in, like schema is something that we haven't like put a good amount of time in, and there's some other like more technical kind of on page related stuff we haven't put a lot of time in that you'd be better off.
There's reasons for that, right? And a lot of it has to do with there's a lot of different variables that you can play with to manipulate search engine rankings. Over the years, the one that I've found to be the best, so long as you have a solid foundation, so on-page principles, is backlink manipulation. For example, when I first started...
Don't talk too much about that because I have a question on this later.
Okay, when I first started, one of the big things that I remember learning about was image data, manipulating image data. And since then, anytime I see it talked about in a group, I get pretty irate about it because it's such a fucking waste of time. Even if you go to local rankings, and I got into an argument with somebody a while back, but even if you just go to rankings for any local SERP and then look up, who's actually manipulating the data on their images, it's almost nobody. And if you manipulate that on a test site, you'll see that, yeah, it might help a little bit of an influx, but is it worth the time in comparison to other things that I could be doing? Absolutely not. And so schema, for the most part, I'm throwing a plugin in with a lot of my affiliate sites, and I'm kind of rolling with it.
All right, let's go to something else we can actually answer instead of bullshitting about stuff we don't know.
Well, I mean, it's like it's worth saying what we do if we don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't focus heavily on schema because honestly, we just haven't really needed it. Okay. What ratio of guest posts to niche edits or other links do you prefer?
A random one.
As far as like guest posts and niche edits specifically go, we probably use them about like half and half these days. We used to use niche edits a little bit more heavily due to their price point. They're generally cheaper. But guest posts, you can really like slam relevance in there with like by having more control over the article topic. So yeah, it's like this balancing act, right, between cost efficiency and more extremely targeted relevance. But we use both, like niche edits and guest posts are pretty much the bread and the butter. I won't make the gravy analogy again, but
I think you should keep making the gravy analogy.
It's how the gravy's made.
But that's not what you said. You said something that came out hilarious. I'll have to go back.
But yeah, niche edits and guest posts, I would say probably using about 50-50 right now.
Yeah, it just depends on the month, right? I don't want to say 50-50 because I don't want anybody being like, well, I need 3 of each, Just keep it somewhere in there month to month as you go along. And so long as you're doing that, you're diversifying.
It also depends like what we're doing. For example, if
different tools.
If a site's having like some negative effects because they have a bunch of, or their link profile isn't diverse or their anchors aren't diversified or something, we'll probably like slam it with like one of our barrage link at niche edits packs, which is a high number of lower authority links that are just super cheap.
To break up anchors.
Yeah, in general, if the site's healthy and moving forward, we'd probably just use a mix of both of them without any real percentage that we really look at. We just kind of try to keep changing things up.
Right. And so, for those of you that aren't familiar with these products too well, the reason that you would change these is because they are different tools. So a niche edit is a contextual backlink in an existing article, so pre-existing article. And a guest post is a contextual backlink in a brand new article posted on a website.
So guest posts are new articles, niche edits are inserted into existing articles.
And so both of those variables can be traced back as a footprint, and you'd want to...
So if Google sees that you're building only niche edits to your site is only getting links into articles that have age. They're basically only being edited into articles. No new articles are appearing with links to your website in it. We'd say that's probably not the best look.
Yeah, it's all traceable.
Right? It doesn't mean you're going to get a penalty, but it increases the chances that Google might think that something looks fishy there, right?
Yeah, a lot of times you're going to see that. I've spoken to people who have very high-end guest posts, and they've been doing it over a long period of time, and it was working for them. And then all of a sudden they flatline. And so it's not really a hard slap. It's not a penalty for sure. But what's going on is a footprint has resonated with Google crawling or to Google bots, and it just doesn't look right. So you either flatline or you take a little dive, and unless you know exactly what you're looking for, the owner of the property isn't really going to be any wiser to it.
And just to go a little bit further, you'd said, what is the ratio of guest posts to niche edits or other links do you prefer? So if everything is like looking healthy and you're just moving forward with your link building process with no issues, the majority of the links that we're going to be using are going to be niche edits and guest posts together. And then we're going to be adding in some stuff like our pillow links packs or our diversity links packs from time to time. But as far as the ratio goes, we don't really have a ratio. We just throw in some of the other stuff from time to time. If we say, oh, it looks like we haven't done any pillowing on this in a while, we might just go ahead and throw some in.
A hypothetical, right? Let's imagine or conceptualize a legit business, and we'll just say it's local to keep it easy, that's operating, and all of this is occurring just naturally in the SERPs. People kind of lose sight of thinking or conceptualizing about that natural viewpoint on how a site operates whenever they start backlinking, because you start obsessing over what's the best link for my money, right? Or best use of my campaign money month to month. What's natural is that you're getting press from high authority values like guest posts or niche edits. And then all of that's going to resonate with other types of backlinks, like you're going to get chatter in forums. There's going to be people blog commenting about you. There's going to be, comments on Facebook, Instagram, social media, etc. And so when you're kind of thinking of things in terms of pillowing, it can be ongoing. Like you don't just pillow at the beginning of the site either. So all of this in conjunction resonating on a month-to-month or at least, quarterly or however you look at what your site's aggregated in the form of backlinks, it's easier to diversify it than one might think. And so you want to just keep it well diversified the whole time, which is why, we don't look at percentages so much.
We can't give you really a ratio link-wise, but I think we can actually give you a ratio budget-wise. So budget-wise, I'd say we're probably spending 98% of the budget on niche edits, guest posts, and then PBN links would be third place. But niche edits and guest posts are the kings.
Yeah, and PBNs we barely use. It's like a fine-tuning tool.
Yeah, PBN we just we just really want to punch something in the gravy maker real quick, But yeah, I would say, would you say that's about right? 98.
Something in the baby. Jesus, you're full of lines.
Gravy
today.
maker, not baby maker.
Whatever.
But I would say 98 to 99% of the budget is used on niche edits and guest posts, and then some PBN links.
Once you already have an established site. Yeah.
And then stuff that we would call pillow links, like Web 2.0s, directory, citations, all that. We're spending a much, much, much smaller portion of the budget. But, you get more of them, so...
a lot of times that's just because those are cheaper, right?
They're just dirt cheap,
easier,
right?
Easier access.
Yes, hopefully that helps.
I'm gonna get you a t-shirt that says Gravy Maker.
I'd actually wear that.
That's pretty cool.
I'll take that for my birthday coming up in a few months.
Deal.
All right. Let's see. Yaniv over on YouTube. All right. I have a locksmith site in the UK targeting 500 locations. Each location has its own location page. What links are best to use to link to each inner page that is also cost effective to get them ranked? Yeah, Yaniv. So I don't know how often you watch this show, but something we talk about pretty often is the power of building the power of your homepage and hub pages. Should I get out paint?
Yes. You're good at
Let
paint.
me get
I'll be
paint
right
out.
back.
All right. Um,
Let Chris art.
I'm gonna do some art for you. Let's make that a little bigger. Yeah, so basically you have your home page. So let's just say, for the sake of simplicity, this is your home page for your locksmith site. And then from your home page, you have a little locations tab or whatever. And the home page actually, let's say it just links out to all your locksmith separate location pages. Probably don't need to draw all these circles, but whatever. Or or maybe this isn't your home page right here. Maybe this is actually your a locations page. Like, so maybe you have your home page, and then your home page links to a locations page and a services page, and then your locations page links out to all your different locations, right? Whatever. So you want to build, first of all, you want to really build a ton of backlinks to your homepage or this locations page that links out to all your sub locations. And by building a ton of links to basically your hub page or your home page or both, you're then going to get a lot better return on any links you build to these individual location pages. As far as what kind of links you want to link to these things, you said you have 500 locations, so I'm guessing that budget is somewhat of a concern. But you want to, if you can get them each some good links, of course that would be preferable. But if you're really building the power of your homepage or your hub page, it might not be as important to get them like super high quality links. You might be able to get away with some lower authority edits or lower authority guest posts or whatever. Another thing that we like to use, when we've really got to hit a ton of targets, is our barrage niche edits. Let me go ahead and show you that real quick if you don't know about them. Down at the bottom of the niche edits page, we have these, they only have 10 to 50 referring domains for each linking domain, right? So these are low authority edits, but you can see, they're coming in about $20 a link. So whenever we've got to hit a ton of targets, we normally kind of look at these. But authority is always better. If you have the budget, it would be better to hit them with some authority. But the goal of building links to your site like this and going heavy linking to your homepage or heavy linking to a locations hub page is the point of this is that you don't have to use as many links to these inner pages. You're really hammering authority to this, and you're really building relevance for locksmiths and stuff to this page, so that when these come around, they just rank a lot easier with a lot less links being built.
Yeah, a little something to add, because this is such a massive geographic-based website, right?
Citations.
But where Chris is talking about heavy on the homepage, I would completely agree. And then let's hypothetical, let's imagine that these are your mega metros, right? So this is like 1 million people. And then within there, I'm guessing, since you've got so many pages, that you've also got sub metros, right? And so maybe this is like, it doesn't matter. 100,000 metro. And then, possibly smaller. After I've got the HP kind of resonating properly and everything looks like it's moving up in the SERPs, when I do start to focus, a lot of people think they're going to go after their main metros after that, right? But that's going to be your most competitive entry point for this. So I would actually say once the HP is nice and beefed up, you're going to send part of your budget to these smaller metros, and then that's going to actually resonate upward in the funnel too. And over time, if you grow these smaller ones, it'll help you grow the big one as well. But just something to consider, because it's going to be easier to rank for the smaller metros than it is for the bigger ones a lot of times.
Yeah, so besides the usual types of links we would send to these things, which would be, niche edits, guest posts, PBN, besides those type of links, if you're having a 500 different locations, I'm assuming you're going to have 500 GMBs, and each one's going to have, citations to it as well, right? Local GMB and citations are pretty important. If you care about map pack, which generally people do care about because it's at the top of the page. And yeah, just growing in importance with like mobile and stuff. So yeah, besides the normal niche edits, guest posts, and PBN links, some citations are probably in order as well. Anything else as far as links go?
No.
Cool. Let's get out of this. Let's go back. I think Yaniv had another question. Patrick likes the gravy maker. Okay, I think this is just a follow-up to his other one. I have a lot of keywords on page 2, but struggling to get them onto page 1. Most location pages have no external links, just inner links from the homepage. That's awesome. So it's hard to tell without actually seeing your site, but what it sounds like is, so Google knows what your site is about, right? It knows that it's letting all of your location pages rank, just not very well. So the dream, the hope would be is that you've built enough authority, you've built enough links to your home pages or your hub pages that by just sending even a single link to these location pages, that you'll get some good movement out of them. A single link with, you don't want to send a exact money anchor to every single one, right? Because that would not be natural looking. But, some of them, you can get more aggressive with your anchors. Some of them you can be a little bit more natural, branded URL, generic type stuff, or maybe a little bit of a mix, kind of like a long tail type thing.
And probably at this point, focus your energy on, it depends on your budget, but a handful that you've really targeted, so that you're doing well for. The competition doesn't look too stiff, so we're assuming that you've done competition research, and then you can kind of heavily target that inner page. So I know we talk about heavy homepage, but once you've decided that everything is looking healthy, you're resonating in the SERPs well, which obviously you are. Don't focus that budget out too far and spread yourself too thin when it comes to going after these location pages.
And don't stop building homepage links either.
Correct.
We were just talking, there was a question in our group recently. They were asking, when can you stop building homepage links? And the answer is never. So, you still want to be tossing, so you can now start linking a little, you can start spending more of your budget on the inner pages, but you still want to be building some homepage or hub page links as well. As you continue to move forward, you can just switch to doing the inner pages more heavily. Anything else on that?
Yeah, throw that. Show some tricks.
How would I do citations without physical addresses? Sorry, I'm going to start this over. Give a little break. How would I do citations without physical addresses, as I don't have addresses for all locations? So if you want to rank in MapPack.
Well, if you don't have a physical address and you have no way of getting a actual physical card, then you're not going to get MapPack.
Yeah.
So
you need a GMB, which requires an address, whether you show the address or not publicly. And citations also require an address to build. That's that's what makes them a citation and not just a directory. Like in just a niche directory, you might not have to put in an address, but citations are all about the NAP, name, address, phone number. So yeah, I mean, you'd need to find out a way to basically get physical addresses for these locations. Is that something we can talk about?
Anyhow, that's just for map. That's if you want to rank map pack, right? But you can still do local SEO, and so let's get hacker with it. So
wait. So before we jump into the getting hacker stuff, not real hacker, but hacker.
Hacksaw, yeah.
You could still rank on these location pages in the organic listings. Let me Austin plumber, which is probably a really hot keyword right now.
For sure.
Because we had a bunch of plumbing damage in Austin due to the snow, and now we're wearing t-shirts.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're going to need GMB, Google My Business with citations built, basically, if you want to show up here on a local search, which is right at the top. So the first things you see, it's got reviews and everything. People love it. It gets a lot of action. You can show up down here on the organic listings without an address, without a GMB. A GMB and an address would probably make it easier, but it's very possible to rank down here without it. You're gonna say something?
Yeah, it actually works kind of. It's sort of strange the way that you'll get a map pack listing and then it won't show up in organic sometimes. A lot of that has to do with things like Yelp and review sites being factored into the organic section, sometimes directories, Angie's List, stuff like that.
And
versus pure local relevance.
And proximity, if depends on the proximity of the search as
right.
well.
And so even Yelp is going to be about Austin, Texas, right? So even though they probably don't have an address or NAP coming to Austin, right? They're going to be showing up there because it's natural for what exists in those organic rankings versus the local relevance of who's here doing business. And then, of course, in mobile, the advantage you get here is that you click to call these people. So a lot of times it's got nothing to do with the customer actually lying or ending up on your website as much as, you're just the first one that they can easily call. Now, having said that, it's still going to be to your advantage to have an address associated with that specific page for your target. And so in knowing that, then you should just go ahead and create a address, for not only that specific page, but then if you want to order citations, you can give them an address. And so there's a few tools that you can utilize to do that. One of them is fake name generator. I think it's .com. I'm not sure if it's .com or .net.
Oh, do you want me to go there?
Yes, please.
Sorry, I was just poking around. I just figured out what was causing our sound issue. Fake name generator.
Yeah, there's a few of them, right? But you can use this to
gender
to create.
How dare they ask? We'll say we're male.
You can, generate them all over the world now. And yeah, you can get real specific with it. Anyhow, you generate it. We're just looking at this address, right? One thing you're going to want to note is that if you take the address, so 4646 Crummett Lane.
What city you wanted to be in? I haven't used this in a long time.
No, not for this one. Or they give you some cities, I think.
But yeah, you could then go and find.
So now one of the things that you're going to want to watch here is that if you check that address a lot of times, it's not going to resonate in Google Maps, meaning that the address, though it's fake, is not even fake enough to pass. And Google knows that since, they've got their own maps. So what you can do is you can copy and paste that address into Google Maps and then find a location that's nearby and use that one that hasn't been taken. So go ahead and throw that into Google Maps.
Or you could just do it anywhere, right?
Huh?
You could literally just take an address from anywhere.
Yeah.
So like, they gave us an address in Omaha, Nebraska. Well, we don't have to use this. We can just use the rest of it. We can use the name and the birthday and all this stuff about this person, this fake person. But then when it comes to address, you can just go on Google Maps, and we go address shopping.
Yeah, maybe don't get too specific with that, other than you'd want to take an address that doesn't have anything associated
Yeah,
with
basically
it.
you just zoom in, you find an address that doesn't have a business associated with it. Could be a house, right? But yeah, this stuff we're getting in the land of, Google doesn't like this. So do it at your own risk, but people do it all the time. We'll just say that.
Yeah, we don't do it. Falsifying information is a big no-no.
Yeah, I've never done it myself. I've just heard people do it all the time and have lots of success with it.
Yeah, I heard that.
There was something else I wanted to say about this. Oh, GMBs. Yeah, you can just use this to try to get a GMB. But then
Well, there are ways to. There used to be a really, decent way to get an address in a certain geographic area, but you had to physically go to a post office, get a PO box, and then file paperwork that would make that PO box show as the address of the post office itself. And so it did used to work just fine. I'd done it quite a few times. It's just a pain in the ass because you had to physically go to these locations.
Do you know if the GMB game is still alive? Like, are people still able to provide them for people?
I don't know. I haven't seen much chatter about it, so I don't really know. I know there's a lot of dead ones, but either way, I think even that loophole has been closed. I saw chatter in some group recently where they said, that's dead now, and if it is, then I'm sure that's going to hinder some of these local manipulations.
Yeah. When mapping keywords, is there a certain number of keywords you would map per page? Thank you. Okay, so there's not a certain number, but there's a real easy way to go about this, right? Well, let's get an example for you. Austin, I don't want to do a local one. There's a best headphones for working out. Okay, so I've got a Google search over here. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, so best headphones for working out. Here we can see the top ranking one, right? So let's go ahead and open that up. Now I'm going to go ahead and copy this URL and put it into Ahrefs. And then I'm going to look for organic keywords. And you can see the keywords that this page is ranking for. Was there something? What else we're using some other tool in Ahrefs recently.
I was surprised you didn't just jump to Surfer. Yeah.
Yeah, because not everyone has Surfer. I feel like more people have Ahrefs probably. I haven't used Surfer in a while actually. Get logged in. Sorry guys, just bear with us 1 second. Getting logged into Surfer for you.
Keyword research. And
then what was that?
Headphones for working out.
Headphones for working out.
Wait.
Oh yeah, we don't want to put it up there, huh?
Right.
That's fine.
Just put up that. Just open it. Yeah.
Yeah, so you say here on keyword research, we've got our keyword here, best headphones for working out. And then they have these other keywords down here, which tell you basically the percent of other pages that are ranking for the main keyword that are also ranking for these other keywords. So you can see a bunch of keywords here that they're also ranking for. I want to do an Ahrefs because there was another here. Best headphones for working out. And then you can go also rank for an Ahrefs, which is basically the same thing. This is kind of, I think it might be kind of new. I've just got turned on to this kind of recently. Yeah, so you can see in Ahrefs, they have kind of a similar thing, right? So they just give you some ideas for other keywords that are also ranking for your main keyword. But what's cool about these is they also have the, on Ahrefs, they have the parent topic over here. So, so you see the keyword we typed in was best headphones for working out. So then we have all these other keywords, ideas that the pages that are ranking for it also rank for. And you can see the parent topic. So the parent topic, these are kind of weird actually. Waterproof earbuds, best earbuds for running. Anyway, they can kind of give you like the parent topic if a parent topic exists. So you can start getting some kind of ideas of how to map out, what pages should be ranking for what keywords and stuff like that.
Yeah, and ultimately you'll still want to go into each specific keyword and kind of make sure, I'm talking about manually, that there are other websites that overlap in these SERPs. Because with your question, the number one thing you're going to watch out for is keyword cannibalization. So if you've got too many articles about similar topics and Google can't differentiate where they're supposed to fit in the SERPs, you're actually going to be hurting your ability to rank by just being spread thin over too many different article topics.
Yeah, so as just a quick summary to your question, is there a certain number of keywords you should map per page? No. You want to look at what's currently working, right? So your main keyword is best headphones for working out. You want to look at other pages that are ranking for those keywords and figure out what other keywords Google is allowing them to also rank for, right? You can use Ahrefs, you can use Surfer, there's probably a bunch of other tools you could potentially use for this, but look at what's currently working and go off of that. Don't try to reinvent the wheel and say, well, maybe I can stuff all these other keywords in here too and rank for them too. Look for what's working, right? Unless you're in some kind of like new niche that doesn't have a bunch of information on it, you might have to do a little bit more guessing, which will take more of your your own analytical skills, but and you could also probably get away with more in those cases as well because Google hasn't really connected all the dots in that niche yet. But in general, just look at what's working and go off of that. Yeah. All right, let's see what else we got. You're welcome, Yaniv. All right, let's go to our other list. Here we go. Can misspelled anchors hurt my rankings? So you get anchor text, you get a link, and the anchor text has, it's spelled wrong,
Yeah,
or maybe it's got
is TEH.
Maybe it's got a grammatical mistake in it, or just some kind of manual user error, right? When they type in the anchor text, they made a mistake. Is that going to hurt you?
I'm going to say no, unless it's just like there's countless of them, right? So you've got 15 links going to an inner page that are all misspelt. Something's going to look fishy there. But it's, human error occurs naturally. And so that's taken into account by Google and other search algorithms.
Google is not that stupid, right? Right.
They ain't that smart, but they ain't that stupid.
Google has like the best machine learning coders in the world working for it, and they're paying them outrageous sums of money. Google does not care if your anchor text has a spelling mistake in it. As long as, like Nick said, it isn't like a ton of yours. Then if a ton of your anchor texts have misspellings in them, they're going to think something's going on as far as you manipulating your link profile, right?
Yeah, I don't really know how that would resonate, right? Like,
I've never, but as far as worrying about, having a couple with like misspellings or whatever, do not worry about it. Just counted as the anchor text diversity, right?
Yeah.
It's natural even for sites to get some anchor text with misspellings in it. So if you don't have any anchors with misspellings, maybe you should go get some.
Yeah, I mean, you could do it to diversify a link profile, and also imagine that a lot of the terms you look up get misspelt as their input into search as well. So who knows? Maybe you find some traction somewhere where somebody didn't think there was any. But
Yeah.
overall, yeah, no, not that big a deal, unless there's a ton of them.
All right, we're gonna go a little bit over time today because we basically started late because our sound wasn't working. So if you got any questions left, go ahead and drop them in the chat somewhere. If not, we'll stick to the list that we've got of backlog questions.
I like the CDN one, I guess.
There was one you were talking about earlier I wanted to answer. Anyway, let's answer this one because it was actually a comment on our blog. Here you go. I changed my title tag and my rankings dropped 25 places. Should I wait or change it back? And so the answer I kind of already gave them was, if you did not de-optimize for the term that dropped and it dropped 25 places, it's probably not a good sign. But we also don't have the information like how long it's been. When you're going in and you're making changes like that, some volatility can happen. How long would you give it before you changed it back, basically?
Depends on the size of the site. That would determine how often bots are crawling it, right? And how often
Let's say it gets crawled somewhat often. Maybe they got 100 referring domains.
At least a couple weeks, to see what happens. Typically, when you get volatility like that, you're still going to see it kind of bounce up and down within that time frame. But
I'd also say this isn't very normal though. Like to lose 25 spots, 25 positions.
Yeah, it can be normal.
I don't think I've ever had something drop that much.
It's just I don't know how long it would be for. Yeah, sure. Think about because I don't know if this is up like from page 1 either, right? So maybe I
think it was page 1.
Okay. Yeah, I mean they must have really changed their title tag to be going after something else.
Normally when we change title tags on something that's ranking well, and granted, it's more of a slight tweak than
Right.
I don't know exactly what you did to your title tag, but usually when we're making a slight tweak to our title tag and not completely de-optimizing it for a keyword, I do not see a volatility of a 25 ranking drop. That'd be back to like page 3, or even 4. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how long you've waited. Give it a little bit of time, but I would maybe look into a little bit more of what exactly you did to it, right?
And is this site title or is this
the title
inner
tag
page? Okay.
The title tag of an inner page.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, if it's a client site, the client's obviously going to be breathing down your neck, right? If you're asking this question, then you might want to be a little bit more conservative what you're doing to client sites. I don't know. I feel like if it was a client site, I probably wouldn't want to wait that long because the client's going to go nuts about it, right? If it's a huge keyword for them.
The issue with that is sometimes if you change something and then you scramble and you go back to fix it, like a lot of people want their anchors changed after they've been placed or something, it's just best practices not to do that. You're looking for stability, right? Like when a business owner makes a decision, there's a specific reason. Granted,
I just feel like I feel like with a drop like this, I feel like they probably did something wrong.
I can think of at least one page where I did it to recently where we got a substantial drop, and I'm not talking like So
Did it come back?
Facebook groups favorite Facebook group posts. We changed the title on that now. It was more of a tweak. It was like adding a little bit of extra into it, and it fell off for at least a few days, and then it came back to where it was. Granted, we're talking about our site, which gets crawled very regularly.
So like a few days would be kind of like what I would be if it was more than a few days. Like if we're getting to like 1 week, I would be like, okay, like what exactly is going on here?
Yeah, I mean, you can always change it back, and there's a chance it'll just plop back to where it was. To really get at this question, I'd kind of want to see it, and then I'd kind of want to know exactly what you changed and how different
Of course,
is.
More information would be better.
For sure.
Just the feeling I'm getting from it is maybe something isn't right. I don't know.
Well, and in regards to that, it's like, maybe it's not right in terms of the term you were originally going after, but if you've changed something, then there's potential that you're going after like something different, and so maybe you're resonating somewhere else, and it's the previous thing that you were going after that's kind of failing now, but that's because you've changed the topic about whatever you were going after. So again, need more variables.
All right, so does changing a WordPress theme affect an already ranked site in any negative way? The answer is it can, right? If when you change your theme, some important like on-page settings change or whatever, stuff that affects like your content, your title tags, your H tags, all that stuff, it definitely can affect your rankings.
Yeah.
I mean, is there really anything more to add to that?
No. Not really.
But yeah,
it can affect things. Yeah.
It's not so much that the theme itself is like, oh, this theme is great at SEO and this theme sucks at SEO, and then so I went to the bad theme, and it's not really like that. It's more like when you change the theme, basically they didn't communicate well with each other, and some other important on-page information got changed, right? But I feel like with a lot of themes, or most themes, it kind of happens pretty seamlessly. So
long as you're using a popular theme.
But some themes you want to like, for example, one that comes to mind is Divi, right? Divi uses shortcodes. Actually, I haven't done this, but I know that there can be big issues when you change from Divi to a different theme that does not use shortcodes. Basically, it doesn't communicate well, and you end up losing some data, right? You lose like it telling it like what your like tags were or something. I don't know. So yeah, I would just do some research into like the theme itself, whatever theme you are currently on, and the theme that you're changing to. And find out if they're going to be able to communicate well. Does one use shortcodes and the other doesn't, stuff like that. Or you could even, ask the tech support people. It'd probably be your number one thing you want to, ask.
Yeah, granted, tech support people, if you talk SEO to them, are usually like, it's fine. It's fine.
A lot of like themes, a lot of like developers, they have like actually pretty like awesome tech support. So I would at least give it a try first. And if you can't get a solid answer out of them, like, hey, I'm trying to transfer from your theme to a different theme, or I'm trying to transfer from this theme to your theme, and they can't give you a good answer, then ask in some groups or whatever.
Yeah, there should be forums about people talking about that kind of stuff. And then ultimately, like what Chris said, it's going to mainly depend on what the theme change breaks, right? So anything that's broken is going to affect the crawlability of the site, and if something produces a lot of errors, then it's going to resonate poorly in the SERPs. So just consider that.
All right, let's do a couple more. Do this one, or do you want to do this one?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fun.
Yeah. All right. What do you believe is the number one ranking factor, Nicholas?
Me. Joking.
Brain size?
Yeah, right. Smooth brain.
Motion of the gravy maker.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, you know, as much as I want to say backlinks, I'm gonna go with foundation of on-page foundation. If you've built a good foundation, then everything else is gonna resonate well. And if you don't, then there's a chance that nothing you do is really going to help you. So number one ranking factor, fundamentals. I recently put up a post about that.
That's what I'm pulling up right
Okay, I
now.
figured. Which is an agency owner was curious about getting us to produce backlinks for an asset they had, a client's asset. In auditing, we go over everything that they think they've done and then what's actually been done. They've completely ignored fundamental SEO, so the website's got all sorts of issues.
No keyword research, no real content plan or strategy, no on-page SEO done for any kind of keyword research. That wasn't done. No new content in the past 6 months. They were just doing tons of actually pretty good backlinks.
Yeah, the backlinks vendor was good, and they were worried, initially, could it be my backlinks? Well, no.
See, we normally would say backlinks are the strongest ranking factor, but that takes into account that you're not like absolutely just not doing all the other stuff.
Right, you need the fundamentals set up properly if you're going to move things forward. Like, the analogy Chris gave me, which I used here, was the equivalent of pumping jet fuel into a plane with no wings.
Yeah, so it's got all the gas it needs, right? But it doesn't have the wings to fly. So you're going to
Yeah, and if you see, this thing in Ahrefs got up to 6 traffic a month, and that's literally with $10,000 being spent in backlinks over the course of about 6 months.
Which is not a good return on investment.
Yeah, atrocious return on investment.
Right. So, if they had just done the bare minimum of keyword research, of some kind of content strategy, of the bare minimum of on-page SEO, title tags, H1s, meta descriptions. You don't have to get fancy with this stuff. If they had done the bare minimum,
yeah, because we've worked on some sites.
The plane would be flying.
Yeah, because we've worked on some sites that are like, oh my God, this is so bad, but it's got enough to get it going. This right here is in its own bracket of pretty messed up. I myself had never seen anything quite like this. Now, mind you, if this agency owner takes the time to develop the foundation of this asset, then they're going to have a really good backlink profile to start off on.
If they did not follow our advice so far, but if they chose to follow our advice, which was
they probably
do some keyword research and do the on-page, like they have a small site, they could literally fix it in a day or two.
It's like 30 pages.
And if they were to fix it in a day or two of time, they would be looking at a much different traffic and keywords graph on Ahrefs. So I would still say, as far as back to the question goes, what's the number one ranking factor? I feel like I would still say backlinks. I know it's not a popular answer. I feel like there's other like hot answers in SEO right now, specifically stuff like search intent or like keyword clusters, right? And like the example we just showed you, if you're not, if you're not doing these things, of course, this guy is not doing, looking for search intent or keyword clusters, because he's not doing keyword research at all. Those would be included into keyword research. Those are like, subtopics of keyword research, basically, that are getting more important. But I still feel like backlinks are king.
I would say backlinks are the number one, like manipulation factor in the SERPs, but if you don't have a website, you can't use no backlinks on it. So number
Yeah.
one factor
You know,
would still be a good
Your car
good
still
base.
needs wheels. Your
Yeah.
plane still needs wings. You can't just put a huge engine and pump gas into it.
Yeah.
It still needs the basics, right?
Backlinks are the gas. When I was explaining like what we do to my father a while back, since he's an oil man, I figured, okay, we'll use a gas analogy, gas and car. So, yeah, what I sell, what I supply is the gas it takes for a website to get ranked up in the search. Hey, what the hell do you need that for? It's free. Whatever.
So yeah, I think we still would agree backlinks are number one, but you absolutely cannot skip the other stuff. It doesn't mean because backlinks are number one, you can skip the other stuff. You have to at least meet the bare minimum of the other stuff. And then it's going to become, and then you're going to get to a point where if you're just doing the bare minimum, that your ROI is going to be much better spent on maybe, doing your content strategy, your search intent, your keyword clusters better than continuing to pump and pump and pump backlinks, right? But I mean, you probably could still overcome it if you did the basics. I feel like if you have the basics, you could pretty much overcome anything with backlinks.
Right, if you have the basics. But so that's what I'm saying.
So
Like
I'll
the
go back.
basics
I'll go
is
back on my answer. Backlinks are king. Just you can't skip the basics.
so the basics on whatever. Yeah, it's fine. Who gives a shit?
Okay, we got
do
enough.
good foundational stuff.
All right, let's do one more.
Let's do that shared one. I
Well,
guess the long
Let's
one.
make sure no one's asking
Okay.
something in the chat real quick. All right. Which one did you want?
I guess the long one.
Which
Yeah.
one?
Top one. Mm-hmm.
Or this one or this one?
Sorry, this one, I guess. Or this. I mean, it seems like a question that might get asked on YouTube or something. They're all decent.
Sorry, which one you want? This one?
Sure. Nah, get this one.
This one?
Yeah.
All right.
It's the longest, so it's probably the best.
That's what she said.
Turning this into a real
It's not going to be on YouTube. This part's going to be edited out, okay?
Someday we're going to have girls that watch this, guys. Someday.
Or that's what he said, okay? All right. Can't keep a straight face now. Got to do the intro correctly. Anyone take a revenue share instead of straight up rank and rent pay per lead? If so, how do you guys ensure contractors are being honest about closed jobs? I suppose you can call random leads to confirm price of job, etc. Since there's a big incentive to say you didn't close a job, especially for jobs that are 10K plus.
Yeah. This is something you're going to see commonly asked by newer SEOs getting into local, who, in my opinion, probably don't have the best sales experience. So they look for the easiest point of entry, which is offering something for free, in the opportunity of a return. But like it says in here, that's hard to trace. Even if you're tracking calls and listening to them through Callfire, which I would say would have to be, or Callfire is something like it. Callfire.com is a place where you can buy tracking numbers, and then you'll be able to listen to phone calls, see and read text messages for that particular local asset. And then you can pass that off to a contractor. You can listen to the deals. And so there you could at least charge by lead, right? Because that would be quantifiable. A lot of people even, set like a time limit, like any phone call over 1 minute, I charge you this much for, right? So they know if it's not a hot lead, get off the phone, and you've got something set in stone. If you're doing this rev share thing, especially if you don't know these people, it's a bad idea. And I say this based on having tried it multiple times early on in my career and then knowing other people who have tried it as well. I don't like the rank to rent model at all, quite honestly, because you want to try and find a client that kind of understands what they're getting involved in. It's not magic, and they know they need something like this, like SEO, to get a leg up. And so they're going to have quantified, here's my marketing budget for SEO, and that's the ideal type of client. So, you know, if you don't have an ear to the ground at that company, you're not going to be able to tell whether a roofer closed a $15,000 job. You might be able to listen to phone calls, but even then, they'd be able to argue with you. And, you know, that's something that even if you took it to court would probably be a whole headache that's not even worth getting involved in. So, my advice to this person would be set up a hard-lined approach to how much it costs to either rent this site or have a pay-per-lead model in place, unless you really trust them. And you know, if revenue share includes maybe ownership in part of a company, you know, make sure that it'd be worthwhile in the long run. But you know, that's going to be a whole different ball game.
Yeah, honestly, I'd say stay away from revenue share. And like you said, unless you know them,
yeah.
But you know, there's too much incentive there.
Yeah, to
There's
screw
too
you.
much. Yeah, there's too much incentive to screw you over, and too many ways they can screw you over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would stick to one of the other models. Good.
That's about it.
All right, guys, I think we're going to go ahead and call it there for today. I'm going to check one more time if there's any last questions, and there is not. So yeah, thanks again for showing up, guys. We will